So there's a new Swedish horror film on Netflix that just dropped today. I'm here to talk about it. No spoilers, of course. Let's jump in. Team building conference for municipal employees turn into a nightmare when accusations of corruption begin to circulate and plague the environment. At the same time, a mysterious figure begins murdering the participants. So when I saw the poster of this movie, actually, I really thought it was going to be one of those classic horror, you know, the killers with the mask. And I was hoping this might be a yearly watch. Unfortunately, this takes its time. There's 25 minutes before we get into anything sort of killerish. They're trying to set up the story, but for the most part, it's kind of boring to watch these guys do what they do. And that's because the dialogue comes across as campy. I think they're trying to do a mixture of Swedish humor with horror combined. Now, when you don't have any of that horror just yet, it just comes across as cheesy and just awful to watch. That is just my perception of it, and it's probably culture specific. But I found this difficult to watch until we started getting the killings. And when we get that, they're pretty brutal and they're pretty violent. And the killings are semi-fun. But we've seen this all before. It doesn't do anything new out of the tin. It doesn't do anything new creative. And in between those scenes, it has a sort of story that tries to get you to care for the characters. Unfortunately, for the most part, I don't care about any of the characters. Even the ones I began caring about, we don't get enough of a backstory. We're hinted at to what's happened in the past and a sort of small-ish story, but that's it. So when we get down to some of the people being killed off in horrific ways, you more care about the person doing the killing because you get more information about them. Even though they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, you kind of understand it. There is a character in here that you love to hate, that is awful and terrible, and you know, he's the character that you want to die the most, and obviously is not going to be the first one to die. I guess it furthered my expectations slightly, because there were a few characters I thought were going to die straight away, but the list of as to when I watch these films, I'm always trying to guess who's going to die first, who's going to die next, and my list wasn't quite right, which that was like the best part of the movie for me. And if that is the best part of the movie, then you know you've missed the beat with something. It could have been much scarier. It had the bones of something fun and unique. It took itself serious in parts, but then tried to really go for that weird comedy that just didn't work within the dialogue. So what you end up having is a mishmash of weird comedy and strange killings, and it just didn't quite gel. The actors themselves were fine with what they were being given, but because that dialogue is so weird with that, it's not even slapstick, it's just campy sort of dialogue. And the characters themselves aren't particularly characters that you care that much about. Not enough is told or shown about the characters for them to be more than caricatures of what they are in this movie. So you end up with just people being killed off, and what you get is a very forgettable movie that you probably won't remember pretty much the hour after you've watched it. I had to think about the title for this movie once I'd watched it, so I could do my review. It's that so much forgettable. So I'm going to give this 2 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one. Congratulations.
I have a very short, sharp review. There's nothing really to talk about this. It's not even that bad that I can rant about it for ages. It just has the bones of something that could have been more fun than it is. Unfortunately, it's just very generic and less than the middle down the pathway. So it's not great and it's not bad. It's just, and that's really not what you want to be. What you want to be is, if for a B horror movie, is terribly bad that it's so good. If you can find that niche, then you're done well. But to have the budget of a good B horror movie, you need to have worked on that script and really kind of nailed down those moments between the balance and comedy of horror. But then also, on the other scale, embrace the budget that you have and just go crazy with the gore and blood. Never really quite reached any of those moments, which is disappointing. So let me know your thoughts about this movie down below. What did you think of it? Was it a fun time watch for you? I've seen many worse films than this that were more enjoyable. So let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.